Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today we're delving into religion and culture within the Wheel of Time. If you'd like to support the channel, give this video a like, and if you don't want to miss any Wheel of Time news, discussions, or breakdowns, make sure you're subscribed. This episode will stay spoiler-free, but will touch on belief systems and culture within the story. So let's get into it. In Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time series, there are no traditional religions, no churches, houses of worship, or use of the word God. Instead, the series revolves around a universal belief in the Great Pattern. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, religion is a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. And under this definition, the belief in the wheel, the force that sets time into motion, could be considered the story's only religion. And the foundation of this belief system is built on three concepts: the wheel, a literal cycle spinning out lives and events endlessly. It represents reincarnation as a natural law, not a matter of faith, but something observable. The creator, the entity or force that made the wheel, and the Dark One, a sapient cosmic force of evil that opposes the creator and causes chaos in the world. And for simplicity's sake, I'll just combine these concepts into one and call it the wheel. And together they make up the universal belief system of the inhabitants of the series. But unlike the real world, there are no competing religions. Of course, there are different customs and practices that diffuse over the landscape of the story, but none of them push back on the observable belief of the wheel. And that's because the characters see evidence of the cyclical nature of time and reincarnation in their lives. They don't need to rely on faith to explain what happens after death. For example, there are many characters within the story who remember their past lives and memories. They have seen actual proof of reincarnation. The existence of the Dark One in the Wheel of Time is provable by things like the discovery of the true power, which is a unique source of energy drawn directly from the Dark One. It's separate from the One Power, the naturally occurring magic of the landscape. But unlike the One Power, which is divided into male and female halves, the true power is a force that is only given to a select few by the Dark One. And all of these elements are observable. The Great Pattern weaves people's destinies, and the Dark One's presence is a constant threat. One thing many readers find enjoyable is the way this quote-unquote religion is displayed, because it leans towards a more scientific feel. Because in this world, the source of creation and magic go hand in hand and are treated like a natural science. Aes Sedai and other scholars study it, just like scientists study relativity or physics. Even the use of magic doesn't require faith, just knowledge. It's like electricity, it's a part of the world's fabric. So now that we understand the main belief system in the Wheel of Time and why there aren't varying belief systems, I do think that there is an important distinction to make, because despite everyone being on the same page about the creator and the Dark One and the pattern, there are many ideologies and philosophies set within the many different cultures. So although new religions don't pop up in the story and diffuse amongst the different regions, the different types of cultures adopt wildly different types of customs, even when they all share the same universal truths. For example, the Tuatha'an practice the way of the leaf, which is a pacifist philosophy that puts nonviolence first, even in the face of aggression. It guides every aspect of their lives and could be compared to the non-theistic religions like Buddhism. We also have the Children of the Light. Their founder, Lothar Mantelar, wrote a book popularizing the idea that only the creator itself has the right to touch the one power. Now, this belief is obviously bastardized later into the Third Age, to the point where many white cloaks believe that anyone who uses the one power is a literal servant of the Dark One. Their fanatic zeal is a great example of religious extremism. We also have cultures like the Aiel who believe one of their greatest causes is to defy the Dark One at all costs. To them, it's a sacred duty to stand against the Dark One in something called the Last Battle. We also see other strong ideologies within non-human species like the Ogier's deep reverence for nature and an almost spiritual connection to their settings. The sea folk in the Wheel of Time have a deep reverence toward contracts. Their culture is built around negotiation and agreements, treating them as though they are sacred. And when you look at all of the cultures within the Wheel of Time, it's interesting to see how the known existence of the wheel influences each society and the way they conduct themselves. They almost work like different denominations of the universal belief in the wheel. Now, there's another aspect to this idea of religion and culture and philosophy within the story that Robert Jordan did a really great job with, which is the complexities within the cultures. It's not a perfect, peaceful society just because everyone believes the same truths. Even when everyone knows and understands reincarnation and the Dark One's existence, there is a lot of conflict. The ideologies are incredibly different, and the universal truths don't unite everyone under one belief system. The cultures and ideals aren't monolithic. A great example of this is the perspective of one of the Forsaken named Ishamael. In this unending cycle of rebirth, he believes eternal life within the pattern is a curse. His goal is to break free from it, which drives all of his actions and makes him a pretty sympathetic villain. The existential dread of being reborn over and over and over again, only to repeatedly suffer through wars, chaos, madness, and death, is absolutely valid. So there are those who accept the wheel and those like Ishamael who fight against it. Another good example of the extreme differences within culture under a unified belief is the inhabitants of Shan-Chen. Despite knowing the same truths of the wheel, they have a rigid, hierarchical society with slavery. The Shan-Chen base their society on conquest and expansionism and a almost holy mission to reclaim lands that they believe are theirs by right and bring the local populations under their rule through force and intimidation. This shows how even understanding universal truths doesn't lead to unity or peace. So, is there religion in the Wheel of Time? Yes. Or no, depending on how you define the word. It's not like the structured theistic religions like in our world. It's based on proof and observable findings. Regardless, there are different systems of belief and ideologies that people follow as devoutly as any faith. The eternal pattern and the presence of the Dark One and the Creator make traditional religions completely unnecessary, but people still find meaning in different codes, practices, and cultural norms. It gives them purpose and community. Sadly, with the death of the author in 2007, we might not ever learn what exactly inspired Robert Jordan to take this approach, but it makes the Wheel of Time stand out because it blends the ideas of science, magic, religion, and culture. The story is built on fundamental truths that make religion, as we understand it, less relevant. It's different, and I think it's an interesting way to set up your world building. That wraps things up, and again, if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on breakdowns and discussion within fantasy and sci-fi, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you'd like to boost this video, give it a like or a share. That wraps things up, and I'll see you back next time.